Welcome to another Sir James D Tech video. Today I'll be doing the review for the InWin Dragon Rider full tower case. As I've stated before, there's no better place to start than the front. Here you can see we have 5 5¼ inch drive bays, included in which is a 5¼ inch to 3½ inch drive bay adapter. Let's see if we take this top cover out, it's actually got an adapter in there, which when I pull off the front panel you'll be able to see the actual adapter in here. And the rest of these are for the optical drive bays. However, what I will say is that if you plan on using an optical drive bay, put it in the top slot, okay? Because I've tested it out, and if you've got them in any of these below slots, it looks rather recessed in there, and it just doesn't look right if it's down there. So that would be my advice. And then moving down, you can see it's got the brilliant InWin logo right here. Now this does light up blue, as with the Dragon Rider case that I did a review of, and this really serves no purpose at all, since there's a fan and a drive cage on the other side of it. Now to remove this front panel, it's very simple to do. As with most cases nowadays, all you do is reach right under and pull it off. It's not hard at all. Now here we have this 3½ inch adapter bracket I was talking about. And like I said, if you're going to use a hard drive in here, put it in one of these lower slots so that you can place your optical drive up in this top one, if at all possible. And then here we have all the runners for the hard drives and optical drive bays, which are available throughout the case. Just wish they weren't yellow. Now right here is where you take this panel off and insert a 2½ inch solid state drive. There's a bay right on the other side of this. And then here, of course, is an intake 120mm yellow fan. Here we are at the top. You can see it's got a brilliant finish on it. We got the microphone, headphone, 2 USB 3.0, 2 USB 2.0, FireWire, 2 eSATA, power and reset. Now what I don't in particular care for is that all the ports are facing up, so that dust, drinks that are spilled, anything has a chance to get in there. And there's no cover available, so that's not something I'm terribly crazy about. And then there is room to be able to fit a 240mm radiator inside the case. And here's one of the stock 120mm fans, which is exhaust, so it points up and out of the case. And then here we have the far side panel. You can see that there's a brilliant jut out, so that you can take, especially that 24-pin power cord, which is usually so thick that it causes most side panels to bow out. You can just run that right along here. You don't have to worry about it in the least. And then here's something that's kind of rare. They provide a fan right in back. See, on the other side of this would be where the CPU backplate would be. And this is an intake fan, so it'll be blowing basically on the back of your CPU bracket. Now you can see there is no sound dampening padding on this side panel. However, this is not flimsy aluminum. This is sturdy steel. So that's very high quality, as usual, from InWin. And then you can see the cable management capabilities. And also, check out the size of this backplate cutout. This is what I wish the Half-X would have had. Maybe if it had something like this, I would have kept that case. Well, apart from the fact that it looks like tank treads. As I mentioned in the unboxing, here's the 4 water cooling holes grommeted. Now what InWin recommends, and I do also, is that you take the USB 3.0 cables, which are for the front panel, and utilize at least one of these holes in order to run the cables out, and then provided you've got a motherboard which has USB 3.0 ports, you can plug them in that way. And that's a great space saver for cable management. And here's another one of those stock yellow 120mm fans. Now the Dragon Rider does have 8 expansion slots, and it says in the specs that this will cover 4-way SLI. However, I know for sure with the EVGA classified 4-way SLI board, you need 10, okay, outside of the half X, which has 9, in order to run 4-way SLI. So I unfortunately don't have one of those boards laying around. And this case is compatible with extended ATX, standard ATX, and micro ATX motherboards. And then you can see, again, they've got the filter for the power supply inside. So basically you've got to take the power supply out in order to clean the filter, which I'm not terribly crazy over. But I'm confident they'll listen to customers' recommendations and one day put that filter on the underside, much like the 800D. And here is the windowed side panel for the in-wind Dragon Rider. You can see it has a nice and large 220mm fan. This is blue LED, which you can switch on and off in case you're doing something like folding at night while you're sleeping or whatever. And what you can do is, instead of having this 220 in there, you can take that out and you have the option of putting 6 120mm fans in there. And some people may not care for the mesh, but I personally find it highly functional. A windowed side panel does include the sound dampening foam, which is beautiful, and also anti-vibration rubber washers on the holes where you'd screw in your fans. Now this is an either-or situation for the fans. If you've got the 220 in, you won't be able to get any of those 120s in there because of the way the holes are lined up. And again, this is not flimsy aluminum. This is nice, strong steel, with the exception, of course, of the meshing. Now, InWind has improved their toolless design for the expansion slots. You can remember during the Dragon Rider, these were all yellow, and I kind of ribbed them a little bit for that. It's very simple to use these. All you gotta do, look at that. That's how easy it is. It just flies off it. See? It's like a toy you get at Christmas. Now, of course, you can see right here is where you have the internal 2.5-inch solid-state drive adapter. Very nice. Has screw holes and everything. Now I have to say, I am so glad that cases have progressed to the point that the hard drive cables, and as you can see, there is room for 5 hard drives inside this case, but the cables run out to the back so that you don't have to see any of them inside here. There are still a few full tower cases on the market, and the 800D is one of them, where you've still got the cables coming out here. I mean, they try to hide it with covers and things like that, but doing it like InWind does, having them go out the back, is really the way to go. And it cleans up the inside of your case a ton. I am very high on the quality of this case. The interior is nice and black. There's plenty of expansion slots, although, again, I'm not too sure about that 4-way SLI capability. The yellow is kept pretty much to a minimum on this case, which I appreciate. The tools design for the expansion slots has been improved. There's front panel USB 3.0 capability, an abundance of airflow capability, provided there's so many 120mm fans, and also that 220mm side panel fan, and even a 120mm that blows on the CPU backplate. Something I didn't even know people were interested in doing. It's a nice sturdy case, and it's not heavy, although it is a very strong steel. It's not wimpy, bowy aluminum. And the sound dampening foam on the windowed side panel is, of course, a very welcome feature. Now, a couple things I really don't care for about the case. I don't like the stock yellow fans, of course. The fact that the front panel ports are pointed up without any sort of cover is kind of neglectful, in my opinion. Companies need to realize that, especially if somebody has this case on the floor, a lot can drop in there. Something could happen where if it was covered, that wouldn't even be an issue. So I'd like to see that implemented in the future. And then that power supply fan filter right at the bottom. I would love if InWind did some design work in order to get that on the bottom of the case, underneath the compartments, much like my 800D, so that you don't have to take the power supply out to clean that filter. But that's really all my quibbles. The cable management is brilliant. There's a nice big CPU backplate cutout, and that bump out on the far side panel provides perfect leeway, especially for that 24-pin power connector. So tabulating all those pluses and minuses, combined with the fact that this is only a $140 retail case, my final verdict is that the InWin Dragon Rider full tower case is a superb value, A-. Until next video, ladies and gentlemen.
Talk later. Yeah, Packers!